Good evening, everyone. It is Joy Chestnut coming to you from my home to yours. I want to talk about hope tonight. That's not what I woke up with on my heart this morning. I had something else that I thought I was going to do, something I looked at last night. But after I went through my day and some events happened during the day that just changed what I wanted to talk about. I finished watching Michelle Obama's documentary on Netflix called Becoming, and it filled me with hope and just some other things throughout my day that just gave me hope and made me realize that this is what the topic needed to be today. And a lot of times I base what I'm going to talk to you guys about based on what happens in my day, what comes to my heart, what comes in my dreams and my sleep at night, what God speaks to my heart and soul and into my spirit, and how I, interact with my children, with my husband, and all of those things give rise to topics that I want to share or talk about. So I learn more about it, or I just bring it to you so we learn together. Anyways, I want to talk about hope. So I'm going to give a working definition. I know that there are many definitions, and this is not a biblical definition, although I will read a scripture about hope in the Bible. But this is just a working definition. It says hope is a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. It's an optimistic state of mind. Now, when I thought about that, I thought optimistic state of mind, an expectation. Now, I know we have desires for things to happen, but we are actually expecting something good to happen. And when I really gave that some thought, I thought, look at what we've been through in this country as a people, as a Black people, even as a nation, what we've been through more recently, but as a people, as a Black people, look what we've gone through. Do you know our hope is directly connected to our resiliency? Resiliency is the ability to bounce back after adversity, after we've been downtrodden, after we've been in despair, after we've been oppressed, after we've been enslaved. We've still been able to bounce back. We are still dominating fields. We are still innovating. We are still developing. We are still creating. People are still trying to be like us. They are still putting injections in their lips and what God gave us naturally that we were born with. People are still wanting to be like us with all we've been through, with all the negative they have to say about Black people. But we are still prevailing. We still have hope. And I just thought that was an awesome thing. And the stronger we get in our hope, the stronger we'll go forward. The more we start to hope in ourselves, the more we can hope in each other. And the more we begin to have hope in each other, our future will begin to move forward in ways we haven't seen it move forward before. Because the shackles are coming off, not off of our legs and our hands, but off our hearts and our minds. Our minds are getting loosed. We're getting unshackled. And once we be able to see ourselves better, we can see other people better. I got a message from my brother-in-law this morning, and everybody knows I'm newly married. I'm enjoying being with an awesome man who, really brings out the best in me, supports me in every way. I've learned so much from him. That's so much for me to say, because for so many years, I didn't think that I could learn. I had seen so much negativity with men that I didn't think that I could learn anything good from a man. But this man came along and he's really showed me so much. And, I always say he's so humble and he can be really laid back, but he's really a quiet storm. But, he's taught me a lot and I've learned a lot from him. And I know that he's learned a lot from me, and we bring out the best in each other. And I just pray God's hand over our life and our marriage, and that we become a pillar of strength in our home, and in our home first, and then in our family, because family is the key to all of this. But as I was saying, my brother-in-law sent me a message this morning. And in the message, he was complimenting the videos and giving me tips and tricks on what to do with the videos. And I just gave that some thought and thought, man, if we start hoping in each other a little bit more, if we stop knocking each other down and just building up, imagine where we could really go. Not just one or two times, just to keep doing it. As I watched Michelle Obama's video and I saw how the support in her small circle, how they stuck together, they believed in each other, how she put her dreams on hold for a little while for her husband, and then they switch roles and switch places. And we all don't have to be Michelle and Barack Obamas to be significant in this world, to make an impact. We don't have to have that platform of the White House to make an impact, but we can start with our families, making impacts in our families, that we start developing and growing strong marriages and strong families that actually stick together and support one another. You know, most people who really get that great success and really go far always have some strong foundation behind them and beneath them. You know, and I just thought it was so awesome for him to call me and bless me with, you know, kind words, encouraging words, and just propelled me to go forward. And I thought, you know, for years, families, read about a lot of families, and even in our own family, some of our own families have kicked us down and put us down, and they're the first ones that, you know, won't watch our stuff. Well, watch somebody else's videos, but won't watch your own. I'm blessed to not have that kind of family. My family supports me. They encourage me to do my videos. They watch it. They send me messages asking me, and my sister, who's so cute, who's not really savvy about the computer and telecommunications, called me yesterday and said, "What time does your show come on?" And I thought she was talking about if loving you is wrong, because it was Tuesday. She was talking about this little old video, you know, but that stuff is what propels us. It's what moves us forward. You know, our hope is related to our continued achievements, our continued ambition, our anticipation of what will happen next, of what we want to accomplish. All of our dreams, our goals, our aspirations, our desires, our confidence in ourselves, and our confidence in one another. We are only as strong as our weakest link. And it was just a blessing to get that text this morning, you know. And I think back, if you haven't watched Michelle Obama's documentary Becoming, please watch it. In that video, she's talking about coming from one of the young women on there asked her, you know, what did you do? Because she said, I'm a first generation college person to go to college. I've lived in public housing all my life, and I've been, you know, my family has had government assistance, stories that most of us relate to. I know that I definitely related to it. And she said, you know, to Michelle Obama, she said, how did you get over feeling invisible from, you know, just having that background? And Michelle's response was, I've never felt invisible because it started in my home. I never felt invisible at my table, at my dinner table with my parents. It started in my home. And I just gave that some thought. And I thought how some of our parents, the older generation, right, the baby boomers and the ones before them, they couldn't do that for us because their minds were in shackles. Their hearts were in shackles. They couldn't even love their husbands and their wives the way they wanted to. They couldn't love their children. They were snatched from all of their heritage, all of their background, all of their tradition was taken from them. All they knew was beating and pain. So, you know, they taught us to be strong, hold your tears and don't cry. But, you know, then we had that next generation, which really would be the baby boomers, who began to have some freedom. You had the Adam Clayton Powells and all that, you know, coming along at that time that began to empower those people during that time, those who were 30 and 40 years old in the 60s and 70s, who were now coming up with Black Power movements, with Black Panthers, with Malcolm X and those people. So they were really able to instill education. I remember when I first wanted to go to school, go to college, and I was a first generation for college in my family too. And I can remember some of the conversations about you better try to work, you better get a job. Them people ain't gonna give you nothing. And people really believed that someone had to give you something, because at that time in their generation, they did had to have it given to them, because if not, they couldn't even read a book. They couldn't even read the Bible. So they had to have whatever they had to be given to them. But in this generation, we can go get it. We can take what's ours. We don't have to wait for someone to come and give it to us. We can go and get it. And together we can get even more. And I thought about that because I thought about my mom, rest her soul in peace. She was a strong woman and a wise woman, and everyone who knew her knew she was a wise woman. And she, you know, when she passed away, her funeral was down the street and around the corner. But she would say to me all the time, go get your education. She didn't really believe that for herself because she didn't have it. And she told me all the time, go get your education. Don't have no whole bunch of babies out of wedlock because you're going to get stuck. And I took those things and I ran with it. And even when I was first in school, it was hard for people to accept, people in my own family, to see past that for me. You know, they were looking at me like, what she thinks she doing? She thinks she better than us. It took a while for us to all accept that we could have more. And I fought against that odd. I fought against that. And, you know, when I think about Michelle Obama saying at her table, she felt like somebody, that wasn't necessarily at my table, because at our table, never mind if you felt like somebody, you were trying to eat. We was trying to eat. That was the goal at our table. But as Black families grew, the goal at the table was to talk, to commune, to bake bread, and to teach. And I know that when I thought about that, I said, my girls could have never felt invisible, because, man, I was dropping knowledge on them since they was young. And I look at, you know, I've had several businesses. I'm going as far as I can go in my education. I'm in a degree program that is a terminal degree. When I'm finally done with it, God won't be done with me, but I'll be done with school and have my doctorate degree. But I've always told myself that I would go as far as I could in education, and I promised it to my mama, so you know I'm going to do it as long as it's God's will. But I had a couple of businesses, and they didn't amount to what I wanted them to amount. But all the experience, you know what? It was not a loss. Most people, most successful business owners, they failed a lot before they actually made it. But what you did have is that knowledge of what to do and what not to do. So when I look now and I see my baby girl with Resilient Roses and a Rose from Concrete, two separate businesses working together all at one time, and she works and she goes to school. My oldest daughter developing her restaurant. Well, she doesn't want to have a physical restaurant, but she wants to have a catering service, Uncle Brother's Kitchen. And when I see them with just even the mindset that they can do it. See, we came up saying, our parents came up saying, you better try to get a job and work. And their parents told them that you better just work, whatever you want, just work for it. And then our parents slowly started to preach education. Better go get an education, because if you don't have an education, you won't get far. They learned that. And then we, as the next generation, we began to say, Generation X said, you know what? You better go get you some business. Be an entrepreneur. Go get you some business. And now our children are moguls. They don't think about anything else but owning business. They don't accept the status quo. They are better than us, and that's where they should be. We have passed the baton to children and younger people who are running past us, and that's where legacy starts. That's where it really is that your children have a different starting point than you do. That's where the legacy begins, that they don't have to struggle as hard. Yes, some struggle is good, and it's the foundation of building something strong, but they don't have to go through all that you went through. They have a different starting point. By the time you hand them that baton, they're halfway there. And when I see my girls making their way no matter what they go through, and yes, they go through adversity. My other girl, my middle daughter, I call her my bonus child. She just graduated from school being a respiratory therapist, but she also already had a certification as a dental assistant. And she already has in her mind that she wants to go and have a doggy daycare in her mind already. I said, well, you just finished school back. She said, I know, Mom, but this is just what I need to help me make some money. Because what I really want to do, she want to be a business owner. My baby girl is already a business owner. My oldest girl is on her way to being a business owner. She got a younger baby. You see, and I just look at them and I think, gee, my mom's parents were saying get a job. My mom was saying get an education. I was saying have business. They were saying conquer businesses. They see the prize. And I just want to say to us, Black family, let's be the prize to them. I have just a short scripture today. I'm reading out of Romans 15 about Paul and what he's saying to the Romans. And here it says, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Let us overflow with hope. Let us overflow with hope. Let us lift each other up. Give each other the tools. If you see somebody who's trying to do something and you know something about it, say, hey, you know what? Let me show you this. Because that happened to me today, and I can't tell you how much it lifted my spirit. I don't know what this little 15 minutes of faith is going to come out to, but I know that I enjoy doing it. I know God told me to do it, and I know some folks getting something out of it. So let's just keep that hope alive that we have in ourselves, that we have in us as a people, and let's go forward. This is my 15 minutes of faith, y'all. I hope you got something out of it. Be blessed, and I'll see you again tomorrow if it's the Lord's will.